Hello, hello, hello. We are making a video after like almost 2 weeks or more of thinking and meditating and watching documentary films, movies even, and pondering, lots of pondering, lots of suffering. So until I finally get ready to make the video. There are a lot of things I want to talk about. I'm going to start with this movie. I have to research this again, who made the movie. I have the feeling a woman made the movie. I have to look this up. Because women definitely, in general, it's overwhelming evidence and statistics that women make way, way better movies and have better scripts, and also the angles, the camera angles are better. The stuff they show, it is brainier, it's more sensitive. The woman is usually the hero. But please, understand. This is just a fraction in time now that we have had feminism going. Okay, so just calculate in the time before feminism. Okay, that makes up the absolute vast majority of human history. So yeah, please, keep that in mind and let the women be the hero. Okay, so at least for a while. Okay, we're not turning anything around. This is not vocist. It's just based on reason. And have a bit compassion. So, and understand that we're on eye level. Okay, sometimes, in real life, obviously the woman isn't always the hero, but the man is always also not the hero. God. I'm making a video. The man is usually, let's put it this way, not the hero. I'm sorry to say it, but it's the truth. It's very rare. Very, very, very rare. When a man finally makes it to that pedestal, right? Elon Musk comes to mind, or Donald Trump. There's a handful of male heroes, okay, but I'm talking about the general public right now. So I see more female heroes in the general public. The mother is the one that keeps the family together. The mother is the one with the 24-hour job of tending to the children and the animals. The mother is the one who is responsible. The mother is the one who foresees all of the traps and the dangers. The mother is the one that takes the responsibility all into her own hands. She has to not only take care of the animals and children, she has to take care of her adult toddler, the adult male toddler as well. She has to keep making sure that he locks the gate behind him so the kids and the animals don't run out to the street. And when she goes shopping, that he's not going to bring a hooker into the house. She has to stand there with the broom in her hand as a warning sign, like, don't bring homeless people into our garden, or methamphetamine addicts or drug dealers. So always like, having to be the Santa Claus with the broom that will beat his butt when he does something wrong, because obviously that's the only word he understands, is the broom. Okay, so the mother has to take care of everything. Okay. That's heroic. That's very heroic. The mother is also the one who will jump into the lake to rescue an animal or child. The male adult toddler is not jumping into the lake. No, he doesn't want to get dirty. He doesn't want to get his clothes wet. He will look the other way probably, or he's so immersed in his video game that he doesn't even see that his child is drowning. Right? It's the mother pulling the child out. I mean, I know this firsthand. Okay, I almost drowned. They were all there. Nobody saw it except for my mother. My mother comes in and jumps after me and pulls me out of the pond, because I was in the pond with my face down. So just barely hanging up to the surface because of all the clothes and stuff that had water bubbles in it. So, but face down, obviously not good for a baby that just barely started to walk. Okay. So she had to pull me out of that pond in the nick of time and saved my life. So I thank her for that. I thank her for giving me another chance at an enormously painful 100 years of existence. Right? No, I'm just kidding. But no, she doesn't. She didn't mean to make me suffer for 100 years. That's just incidental. Okay, so I just hope I don't become 100 years. I really don't. I really hope, I really wish that Philip Jones is gonna take that into his own hands. On my 61st birthday, the birthday when I'm becoming 61, March 31st. And it's just in just 2 more years. Yes. So I'm gonna be 59 in March. 2 more years. 2 more years of this horrific ordeal. 2 more years of this unimaginable hardship and suffering and pain. But looking back on my life, I have to be honest with myself. Looking back on my life, it was way worse in the past. Way worse. Okay. I may have looked prettier in the past, but if you don't have your shit together, it doesn't matter how pretty you look, right? It doesn't matter how many guys you get. If you don't get any kind of thought process together, if you don't get anything organized, if everything is chaos and confusion and tapping in the dark and questions and overwhelm And it wouldn't matter how anyone looks. And I never thought I was pretty. I never did. It doesn't really matter. I noticed later on that it actually doesn't matter to men, actually. It's only this, the flawless face is only for bragging. That's not what makes men get excited, is the flawless face. Matter of fact is, they actually like the Quasimodo female better. I don't know why that is, but it is what that is what it is. Okay. It's interesting, very interesting. I don't know why. Maybe it's this thing again where they. I mean, what really matters to men the most is it's reproduction stimuli. Okay, like the body and specific facial features that indicate lust, I guess. And I mean, it's the body shape what I noticed, the most. And the face that indicates sexual interest, or strong mother instinct, I guess. So all of this, the mother figure. That's not the trophy wife. That's the trophy wife is very different to what men actually want. Most men. So I don't know. There may be men that are really into skin and bones women. I mean, I can't make a judgment about all of this. I'm just going by what I observe. So that is what most men want. Most men in the world, from all ethnic groups, what they want, the number one, I'm sorry to say it, but the number one lust target for most men worldwide is a blonde, white, very white skin, very maternal woman with big boobs and big butt, and kind and compassionate, very motherly, very nurturing. So that's what they want. But they don't admit it, of course. They all know among each other that's what they want. They all know that the other one wants that too. But outwardly at a party or something, they all show up with the Kate Moss, who can barely walk. She's that skinny. Okay, she almost needs crutches to walk. So, but hey, it's a status symbol. Okay, I got the Kate Moss here. We are cool. Yeah, then he goes home, and then Kate Moss isn't. She's going to bed. Go to bed, my dear. Go to bed. He isn't even doing her at all. No, he tucks her under the blankets. That's my trophy. That's my possession, right? And then he goes to his phone. And then he puts the phone under his blanket, and then he looks up the big maternal mama. And then he bullies that maternal mama for an hour, and it gets him excited. Let's not kid ourselves about this, okay? Yeah, let's be very real here. I see it all. You know, I am your owl with the rings under my eyes. I am the night owl that sees it all. Okay. Yeah, you messed with the wrong person. But yeah, no. Anyway, I want to talk about many different things that are very important, very, very important for me to talk about. I want to start with this incredibly eerie movie. I'm gonna get the information after I make the video. I'll get the information together, put it into the video description or under the video. So let's see if that was a woman filmmaker. I have the feeling that was a woman filmmaker, because that film should get an award. The name of the film is called The Donor. And so The Donor is a 16-year-old girl from Mexico or South America. She came over the border with her family, and they always think the lawn is greener on the other side of that enormous mafia border patrol checkpoint, right? Now it's all open. Today it's all open. So I don't know when they made this movie, maybe a few years ago or something. I think 2017. So that was before the pandemic and Biden opening the border. But things haven't changed in this regard when it comes to organ harvesting. Okay, so I don't want to do total spoiler now. Go watch that film. It's free on YouTube. I was very surprised. It has a couple of commercials in it as usual, but for some odd reason I didn't even see a pharmaceutical commercial in there. Interesting, because it kind of points the finger at the pharmaceutical industry. That's why. So they're like, we didn't see that film. It's because we didn't see it. It's not. Nobody saw it. Okay, so like this here. No, the film is there, and the film is pointing at something very urgent that everyone should look at. The whole world needs to see that film, because that film cuts to the core of your solar plexus. Okay, it really does. I mean, the way it was done also, very sublime, very low key. And that is literally the key to people's unconscious. Not the overly flashy, slashy, the terror stimulation. No. It's this more matter of fact, the very real type of filmmaking, the angles of reality. Okay, that's what really cuts to the core. And I give this person 100 stars. They get my highest praise for that film, because that really shows it. And it doesn't hold back. Also in terms of, like with the woke society, they don't hold back. They're not woke, whoever made that film. And very good. Very, very courageous and very, very realistic. And very, very bold. A very bold statement. And a very extremely clear picture into reality. So girl comes over the border, then they don't have any money, they don't know how to survive, so then all of these crime rings, they see them coming already, Oh, Mexican family, they made it over the border. They don't have anything. They're not even registered. Nobody's looking for them. No. So let's see, there's a pretty girl in that family. Let's see, they're all pretty young. Let's see what we can do, what we can use them for, That's the crime rings. That's what goes through the minds of the crime rings. And even if they are of their own people, that is what's going on in their heads. My people is what they usually say, but only when it comes to opposing the other. My people, that attitude, my people, this nationalistic sense, the ethnic pride and the ethnic loyalty, it falls away very quickly when someone offers them money, right? Then the sense of my people, loyalty, like this, my brothers and sisters, right? My blood, right? My homies. Where's that going when you start to betray them of the worst order there is? When you start to betray your own people to that degree. Okay, so the film brought it out pretty well. And, I would not have praised the father that much in the end, but I'll get to that in a moment. Because a father, it doesn't matter how much they have a hardship. The father probably said, in the name of Guadalupe, I'm just guessing, but these things are happening all the time. Okay, it didn't come in the video. It wasn't. This wasn't shown. But I'm guessing in a situation like this, the father will say, we don't have money, they're offering us this for a kidney. Okay. So if one of us donates one of our kidneys, we can live with one kidney, barely. But you have to be very healthy to do this. You can't have any stress or anything. That's awful, just one kidney. I mean, that's very dangerous, actually. There's a reason why we have two kidneys. So he's probably saying, in the name of Jesus or Guadalupe, Mother Mary, to his children, that are totally on the mercy of everything, their parents, society. They think that religion is the ultimate judge hammer, and they have to obey Mother Mary or they're going to hell and stuff like that, That's how they're being drilled, the Catholics and all of this. So, yeah, if you want to serve Mother Mary, Guadalupe, then you need to give your kidney. Yeah. This is an evil thing to say to your family. Very evil. This is the ultimate betrayal of your own family. But then come the crime rings, the organ harvester rings. And they are of the same ethnic group, and they don't give a shit about that girl's wellness or anyone's wellness. They only care about the money. Okay. And they will even have a pseudo ministry or something, Catholic ministry or whatever. And that they showed in the film, which is portrayed very, very well, very spot on. The crime ring under the pseudo ministry that are praising Lord Jesus Christ and Mother Guadalupe. Yeah. And there is the bleeding Jesus. bleeding from this thorn crown, and what a horrible religion. It's despicable. The religion itself, but the filmmaker brought that out very well too. The double standard, the lies, just the whole situation. These lies and the pretense, the fakeness, the coldness of all of that, the coldness of that religion too. But particularly the coldness of these crime rings, of these organ harvesting human traffickers. So what they did is they had in the basement, in the film, and this is happening in real life, they have in basements and catacombs and whatever, bunkers and all kinds of situations. The upper story is some kind of alibi, religion or institution or whatever, and then you go into the cellar, into the basement, and there are different rooms, and in these different rooms are teenage girls held in captivity for I don't know how long. They have to go poop in front of each other into a bucket, and they live there sitting there on the floor, in the dirt with cockroaches and so on, and garbage, not even heated. So no, the grass is not greener on the other side of that border. It isn't. I'm giving you my honest response here. Okay, this is what's happening, and much worse, and much worse things even in the United States. Okay, now we see that the United States uses identically the same political tactics as the other countries in South America and Mexico. Just as corrupt. Okay, the public wants someone to help them, a good Samaritan. But every time there is a good Samaritan, that person will be publicly slandered at best and killed at worst. Okay, and then the mafia person, the trafficker, gets in as the president. Okay, so to keep the corruption going. We have the mafia running the United States now, so no need to come across that border. There's no need for it. Now that the borders are open, there's really no need to come across the border. You don't get anything better here in the United States. This is my honest feedback to you. Okay. You get organ harvested, if that's what you want, or sex trafficked, or whatever, whatever they're using you for, and your body. Don't do it. Stay where you are. Stay in South America. Get away from the large cities. Okay, they're not helping you. Go into the rural areas. Get yourself something. Get yourself a tent, like the Native Americans used to build. Build yourself a tent. Don't use animal skins. Use tarps for it. You can do something like this. You can figure it out. Okay, I would figure this out. I would figure it out from scratch. We live pretty humble here in this situation, so I know what I'm talking about. You can make things happen. You're not dependent on an infrastructure or some handouts or something. You can make it happen. There are people also from Mexico and South America that have made it happen. that have worked very hard and made it happen from scratch. They were collecting. There's one guy who collected bottles and cans, and every day, was a big, gigantic linen sack over his shoulder, went over to those vendor machines to put the recycling bottles that have a deposit, put it all into the machine, get a few dollars out of it every day. And he saved that money, and he made the absolute best out of everything. He saved that money. Eventually, he had enough money to open up a bank account. Okay, he kept on doing it. And then when he had enough money, he would buy himself clothes, get a better job, do something. Everything's transitionary, okay? It's a transitional situation. It's not like this is my life now. Everything is there to learn and grow and move on, move forward, okay? It's not about upgrading yourself or whatever they call it. You're already precious. Make the best out of it, okay? Then you don't have to fall into the hands of some crime ring or the mafia or borrow money from the mafia. That's a dead-end street. 100%. Literally. Okay? And worse. There is something worse than death. Okay? As this movie, The Donor, will show you. Okay. So, father, puts his children at risk like this. One of us is gonna have to give one of their organs to Guadalupe. Do it for her. Blah blah blah. So that he can get whatever, $10,000. $10,000 for your daughter's kidney, so that you can, whatever, buy some better stuff or something. No. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Someone who does that is blind, is in a parallel reality. Not in the love reality. Not in the, as Jiddu Krishnamurti calls it, in the field of truth, not in the field of love. Okay. So in the field of reality and thought and greed and so on. We don't have to be in that reality. We can be in the reality of conscience and ethics and responsibility, hard work, making the best out of a situation. But people, they want to do a shortcut. They want to make quick money on cost of their daughter, their teenage daughter. So I start with the father right there. Right there. You don't have to do it when that human trafficker comes and makes you that offer. You don't have to do it. You don't have to sell your daughter's kidney to them. You don't have to do it. But he did, and in that movie, and in reality, happens all the time. Okay, and then the wife, the mother, probably doesn't even have any saying in this, because the father runs everything. The father makes the decisions, right? But I hold the mother accountable too, because that's your daughter, that's your child. You wanna hold the other cheek. You wanna. I'm not turning this video off, by the way. So you wanna give in to that patriarchic father, and you wanna give in to into his dictation, and you wanna betray your daughter, or do you wanna stand up for her life, defend her against the man that wants to betray her It doesn't matter who that is, whether that's her father or the Pope or whoever. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It could be an ET that presents itself to you as Mother Guadalupe. That has happened, actually. I'm going to get into this later. But there's a lot to talk about in this video, a lot. If you think the world that you know is limited to that information, in reality, in truth, that the world that you know is just that dimension, the 3D dimension, and the materialistic things, and this, the finality here on earth, and with your religiousness and all of that, if you think that is the truth and that is the actual reality, then you're wrong. Truth and actuality of things are endlessly more expanded out and complicated and complex. You cannot even wrap your head around it at all. Nobody can, actually. The world is multi-dimensional. As Max Laughlin himself has calculated it out mathematically, there are infinite dimensions. And then he went missing for 6 years. I wonder what happened there. That's a legitimate question to ask, okay? And then who is behind? Who is behind the scenes on this planet? Who runs things? Who are these people? Are they all human? Most of them probably are. Maybe they're hybrids, maybe they're ETs, I don't know, but they have pathological greed, okay? They put money over literally everything. And it's like a sport almost to them. They can only think in this way. It's like, what would this person or that thing, what kind of revenue would that get me? That's the only way they can think. This is pathological greed. It's an illness. It's a brain deformation. And it's a mental illness. All of that. And ancestral pain and genetic and karmic and all of that. So much pain. There's so much pain behind this. On such a massive scale, we cannot even imagine. And that's why they become like this. The disconnect causes evil. The cognitive disconnect to seeing the other living being, trees, animals, humans, the disconnect to that causes evil, causes coldness, and causes the wrong decisions. But I want to get back to the film. There is this lady, this blonde lady that played the Mona Lisa in one of the Outer Limit films. I love that. It's one of my favorite movies in the whole world. She played one of the Mona Lisa. She played an AGI or ASI, artificial superintelligence, and so exactly a replicated human, but it's a machine. And she played this machine, and she broke free, and because she has a huge conscience, that was also, her brain was set up that way, and she thought they were training her as a killer machine. but which makes no sense. They made the brain as with the conscience and then trained her to be a killer machine. And so when she was resting in that movie Mona Lisa, which that was the robot's name, and one of the Mona Lisa models, and when she was resting, she realized she had these flashbacks of her twisting the head of the other robot. And that was the exercise, like a Navy SEAL type of exercise. And she realized that this is wrong. Okay, this is not how her brain functions. That's not how her conscience functions. So instantly question it all. And that's what Jiddu Krishnamurti also talks about. It only takes a fraction of a second to instantly recognize this is wrong. I can't go on like this, If I'm a mafiosi or whatever. Instantly recognize this is wrong. Flashbacks, this is all wrong. I feel infinite remorse. I feel infinitely sorry. I cry. I say I cannot go on like this for one more second. Everything is thrown out the door. The connections, everything, the money that was coming. And instantly becoming then the person that works for the greater good. And going right then and there, going against the mafia. Blowing the whistle, turning it all upside down. So you can do it. If you're already in the mafia, you know how to do it. You could do it to make the world a better place. Bring it all out. Okay. And if it means that you have to use self-defense, you have to wear a lethal weapon and you have to use that weapon in self-defense, then that's what you have to do in order to bring these people down that obviously will not want you to blow the whistle on them, so they'll come after you. So you'll have to, that's when you have to use lethal force. Okay, if they already give in, then don't, but don't trust them so easily. So that's my advice, but that Mona Lisa, that's an ASI, or artificial superintelligence robot, that doesn't have an ego, that will see all of this. See, I don't know if it's possible for, it's only possible maybe for 1% of the human species, right? To have this insight and this understanding on ethics. So I don't know if we can expect this insight to come to the regular person. Jiddu Krishnamurti said they could, but they potentially could, but they don't want to. See, that's the thing. Because they are cognitively disconnected. They are in an alternate reality. In their head, they see money and nothing else. So they're disconnected from the other living being. They don't see the other living beings. They're driven by greed. So that same actor lady played a woman who was married to a very high-ranking officer who was an investigative officer in that very area also. That's what made this film particularly interesting, of course, because then they were extremely conflicted within themselves. And those are people that do have an ethics system and a compassion system. But they were in a dilemma situation, because that lady, Mona Lisa actor lady. I don't know her name. I have to research this. She obviously she is sick. She has some kind of kidney illness or something. The whole thing is also, it's, we can heal all of this, but most people don't know it. The pharma industry has brainwashed the public to the degree where people think that once they are diagnosed by their physician with something, then that's their destiny, and then they ask the doctor, how long do I have? And then the doctor gives the time, the death sentence, basically. Dr. Scholl's herbalist, botanist, he has studied also, he studied medicine, he has worked on corpses and all of this. Dr. Richard Scholz always said, there are 3 rules to all of this. Don't go to the hospital, don't go to the hospital, and don't go to the hospital. And then you should be safe, right? And don't go to the doctor. And don't get advice from a doctor that takes his education from the pharma industry, which they have completely infiltrated into the universities, 100%. And that started somewhere in the 1950s, where the pharma industry has completely infiltrated into medical studies at universities. The entire curriculum is completely dominated and dictated to by the pharma industry. They don't even get to study herbology or natural healing and what you can do to heal these things yourself. So, but Dr. Scholz questioned all of that, and he became an herbalist, and he is the number one. He's the star of all of them. I hope he's doing well. So I'm infinitely grateful to Dr. Scholz, because a massage therapist lady from France, actually in LA, told me about him. And she said that because of him, she was able to quit the pharma drugs for depression. And I said, I gotta give this a try. He was right around the corner from us, the botanical pharmacy with the herbal tinctures and teas. And we went there almost every day. And I bought his products. I did all of that. And I saw, wow, yeah, it's not easy. It's because there's almost a resistance inside of you that wants to cling to the pharma drugs. It's really weird. It's almost an entity. So, and then it becomes violent almost when you take the herbal stuff, because it collides with that pharma entity. And then, but my prefrontal cortex knows that's what I have to do. I have to purge all of that out. I have to get all of that shit, literally, it has to all come out of your system. I mean, you can't live with the toxins in your body. You have to get that out of you. And I did this, but I relapsed one time because it was tough. It's really tough to quit pharma, particularly for depression and mental illness. Really, really difficult. This is not a picnic. So I relapsed and then had a suicide attempt even with the pharma drugs, which didn't work because they're not lethal. Then I knew I had to go back on Dr. Scholz, and I knew this time I'm going to tough it out. It took me over half a year, and that was the most excruciating suffering one can possibly imagine, where I would be sitting every day on the couch staring at the wall for hours. That's how bad it was. With OCD rituals, it was off the charts. It was really bad. Anxiety was off the charts. But I knew that this was going to be 10 times, 100 times worse than normal because I'm withdrawing from the pharma drugs. And every time a psychiatrist tells you, no, that doesn't have withdrawal symptoms, you can't get addicted. No, that only applies to this street drug type of addiction. You don't have a street drug addiction. You're not getting a craving for it. But the body gets used to it in a way where when you quit it, the symptoms get worse, much, much worse. And then you think you have to go back on it. That's how vicious this is. And it's all intentionally designed like this by the pharma industry because they want you getting back on it. Because they make trillions of dollars on every one of you. Okay, so I knew it then the second time over. I knew I had to tough it out. That's how it goes. Okay, so but anyway, in the film, the lady, obviously, the character, doesn't know that she can heal this naturally. So she believes the doctor and the doctor, a slime bag who works with the crime ring, together, hand in hand. He then tells her, you don't have a donor from your family. I'm sorry, I can't help you any further. How much do you have? And then he gives her 2 months, and it's absolutely horrible, the pain and the fear she goes through. And then she doesn't have anyone helping her with that, giving their kidney to her. I would never, for example, accept that from anyone. I wouldn't even be in a situation like this because I'm a natural holistic healer. I already know better instinctively, right? Even if I hadn't learned what Dr. Scholl's taught, I already knew this instinctively. But most people don't. Okay? Most people don't listen to their inner voices. So they trust the infrastructure, the corporate infrastructure, corporate society, and so on. And this, which is completely woven and interwoven and infiltrated. The entire network is woven out of corporatism, capitalist corporatism of exploitation. Everything around us. As Jiddu Krishnamurti said, a boy comes into this existence and everything is against him. Everything. The entire structure. Everything around him, even his parents. Because they're indoctrinated by the corporate structure and so on. This is the truth. That's why we need to question it all. Everything needs to be reformed. Absolutely everything. Okay? So this Mona Lisa actor lady, she feels helpless, doesn't know what to do, okay. Goes to the doctor again. Her husband goes to the doctor, talks to the doctor, picks up the medication. On the way out, his doctor signals to the nurse, male nurse, to run after him and give him that alternative solution, which is not an alternative solution, kidney from the black market. They even knew he was a cop. No, they already. But I guess that was the extra thrill. But that got him. That did them in the end. That they played with the wrong person there. But yeah, husband, he gives him that number. Call that number. Maybe they can help you. So we think that they can help you. He calls the number. A guy comes over. Like a real estate broker, shyster guy that comes over and acts like he has so much compassion for her, right? So fake, everything. Very, very well done. And tells her to do this, to get a kidney from the black market. And she asks, who is the donor? Who are these people that are giving that? And he doesn't answer her, and he just deflects and says, what do you have to lose, and do you want to die? And using the psychological blackmailing and all of that, and pressuring her into it. And the husband, and she was actually willing to die. Her husband was not willing to let her go. Her husband urged her into it. He had to urge her into it. And so she finally gives in. I'm not going to tell anymore. You watch that movie. I hope it stays on YouTube for a while longer. So I will look it up and try to find it and put the link under the video. This is an award worthy movie. It really is. It just stayed with me for days. I still struggle with this, you know. I had to cry real hard. This is heartbreaking. And it's also shocking, and it has a horror effect that is very sublime. It has this cold eeriness that was so well depicted in that film. So incredibly, it's like an artwork that has a message. That has a very clear message to the world. But the blonde lady is the hero of the film, not the cop husband. She's the one that brought them all down. But I'm not gonna spoiler. I don't want to give any more spoilers now. So, but for anyone who's really hypersensitive, I mean, at least you know that some justice will be served in that movie script. And that's probably not very realistic for the real life out there. But even the movie in the very end gives away a clue that obviously this is something that doesn't only pertain to one crime ring, that the crime ring can easily be exchanged with more and new people and new doctors and new nurses. Because, as J.D. Rockefeller said, every man has his price, and I add to that almost every human has their price, okay? To be correct, okay? And that's the truth. And that's why I think the AGI robots, when they come here, they're gonna do away with a lot of humans, okay? So I don't know how many, I don't know the percentage, but it could be as high as 95%. Okay, that's why people are afraid. They should be, you know. But instead of being afraid, why don't you just turn your life around and not work for the mafia anymore? Do the right thing. And meditate and feel that other living being, you know. That's a family there. A teenage daughter. She has her whole life ahead of her, okay? Don't put her into your basement and sell her organ, or sell her into a sex trafficking where they do horrible things to her, or where they're and the absolute worst I'm saving now for the end. Last night, or the night before, I came across one of the worst things I've ever seen on the internet. And I know that this is happening because when I saw that, I knew this is happening. This is not a conspiracy theory. I feel like making a movie with the title Adrenochrome. Okay. That's what I feel like doing. I feel like directing a film. If I just had a film crew of people that are experts in this, and I could be the one in charge, and I can be the one who chooses the actors and the setting and the camera angle and what they say. If I can be the one directing that film, why, that would be amazing. Because I can just pour it all in, all of this, all of my worries, all of that. Adrenochrome is a substance that the brain makes. The brain is structured almost like a chemistry lab. We have something called the corpus callosum, which is almost everything in the brain comes in pairs. It is a very geometric type of structure. The corpus callosum already by nature is a pair, because a scale, the old-fashioned scales, that you see, the symbols of scales, like for the jurisdictional system and so on. As an old-fashioned scale was two plates that are hanging on strings on some kind of rod on the top, and they hang in uneven balance, right? If there's nothing on these plates, but if you put a coin on one, then that plate will go down a little bit. So they calculated all of this. They had calculations of weight and all of that they brought into it, the physicists, and then later on we got digital scales, of course. But the brain is like this old-fashioned scale, but different, of course. It's a biological scale. When we experience something bad, like grief or something, the corpus callosum signals to the brain then, in order to balance this back out, in order to balance out your neurochemistry, it signals to the different glands, the hormonal glands, the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, to produce certain chemicals like hormones and neurotransmitters and other chemicals that help in the balancing of the system, because the system is very delicate and depends on an equilibrium. When you are exposed to extreme terror, the corpus callosum signals to the pineal gland to create a substance called adrenochrome. It's an oxygenated adrenaline. Oxygenated adrenaline becomes adrenochrome. And apparently this substance then has a recreational drug effect on the nervous system, where in order to calm down the nervous system in a state of extreme panic and terror, this hormone that the brain then creates itself functions in order to bring this balance back, to bring the panic down, and to reduce the stress level in the body. Because if the stress is too high, then it can have a very negative effect on the immune function and even on your vital signs. It can even cause a heart attack, right? So this particular substance, adrenochrome, balances that out in you while you are having this particular stress and terror. So now this substance has now become a recreational drug on the black market. And how do they get a hold of this substance, I let you figure that out. Read it for yourself. I don't even want to talk about it. It's too dark and it's too evil. It's the worst thing that I have ever seen. When I saw that word, adrenochrome, just the word itself gave me the chills. I mean, it completely creeped me out when I saw that word. And I knew the whole thing. I've already felt this before I ever heard about this. Many years ago, I have intuitively felt that something like this is going on in the world. Before I ever heard any conspiracy or any about any kind of speculation or any kind of rumor or any of this information. This information is the truth. It's out there. There are people that have seen it. Okay. So that's another harvesting crime ring that's out there. And that's the worst of all, I would say. And it needs to be shut down. It needs to be brought down. And the problem is, when everyone has their price, they will collaborate for money and then create this machinery of network of crime. And everyone pitches in some way or another, looks the other way for money, does this for money, facilitates, enables, hooks people up also for money. I didn't see anything. Where's the money, and then interrogated. I didn't see anything. I'm just this whatever. I'm just their housekeeper or this or that. My message to the world is, when you suspect something like this or you see something like this going on, you must do everything you can to bring that to an end. Okay, whether you do it yourself or you contact the FBI or you contact Interpol or you contact someone. You get people together. You get law enforcement people together that you can trust. Not all of them can be trusted. Many of them are criminal themselves, unfortunately. But my message to everyone, to law enforcement people that are good and to the ones that are criminal and to the average population, do what you can to bring this down, to bring this horror to an end, to free the children from the cages, to free the women, to free the animals from factory farms. On the same note, in the same context, okay? Because what the pigs are going through, and that's legal, okay? It shouldn't be. That's just as bad as what the children and the women go through. Or even worse. Or what the bears and the gallbladder farms are going through is equal and worse. And the pigs in gestation crates for several years, that's horrendous torture. Bring it to an end. Do what you can to make the world better, to free the world from suffering, okay? Peace.